Alright, hopefully you've all had a chance to see Shazam by now, and I feel like I'm the only person on the planet that was not a huge fan of this film. Holy crap, everyone loved this freaking movie. But like I said, I didn't hate it, I just had some problems with it. There were some plot holes, and the main theme sounds like Overwatch. See, they're similar. So final warning, that is a spoiler warning. If you have not seen Shazam, don't watch this video unless you just don't care. Alright, so let's dive in. So the movie starts out with a little bit of a backstory in the villain, which is actually pretty smart, because if the villain's going to be emotionless in this movie, then might as well have his backstory to give him at least a little bit of depth. And the fact that Lionel Luthor from Smallville plays his father, I thought that was pretty funny. So when we first get to this Rock of Eternity and meet the wizard Shazam, he tells young Thaddeus Sivana that he's been keeping the 7 deadly sins under control, which I actually think is really cool, because the 7 deadly sins, aren't they like from the Bible or something? I don't know, I was never that religious. But the 7 deadly sins are something that has dated back centuries, just like Greek myths and stuff, so now comics have taken that and added it to their lore. I really like it when comics do that. And so the 7 deadly sins end up becoming the source of the villain's power. I just think that's really clever. But when little Thaddeus Sivana gets tempted, and so the wizard's like, nope, you're not worthy, next, I was like, why would the wizard just let a kid go after that? He has to know that that'll mess a kid up in the head. A weird paranormal experience like that, it would mess a kid up. You would think either the wizard would just kill the kid or wipe his memory or something. I don't know, just to me, that's not smart to just let a kid go after saying, nope, you're not good enough, after showing him all this paranormal shit. That just didn't make sense to me, so that's plot hole number 1. Then we get to Billy Batson, and the first thing we see him do in this movie is he hijacks a police car. He hijacks a police car. I understand it's all to find his biological mother, but couldn't he just go out to a police station and ask? Why do you have to hijack a car? That's pretty dick. I don't claim to know everything about finding someone's biological mother and where you would ask. I'm no expert, so whatever. But when it goes to the flashback of him and his actual biological mother when he's a little kid, they're at the fair and then he just wanders off. Apparently the story goes that the mother was 17, so she didn't want to deal with this kid, so she just abandons him? Okay, couple problems I have with this. First of all, she does not look 17 in that flashback. At least not to me. She looks like she's in her late 20s. So when she tells Billy, I was 17, I wasn't ready to have a kid, I was all like, you were 17? Wait, what? She just didn't look 17 to me. I don't know. DC doesn't have the great de-aging technology that Marvel does, I guess. And my second problem with this is that she actually abandons him there. She doesn't, like, at least take him to an orphanage or something. That would be the right thing to do. Sure, it would bring her a lot of shame, but it's a better move than just abandoning him there like a total bitch. Ugh, that is terrible. I did like that revealing scene, though, because, you know, that's the truth of it all. Don't meet your idols, or at least people who you want to meet, because a lot of times they turn out to be disappointing. But when Billy meets his new foster family, I really like these guys. They're cool. They're just a fun bunch, you know, they reach their hands in every dinner and they do a different rhyming prayer every time. I was like, yeah, these guys are fun. If I were a foster kid, I would love to have a family like this. Plus you have Mary, and she's hot. And before you call me creepy for calling a kid who's in high school hot, the actual actress, Grace Fulton, is just a year younger than me. So there you go. Not creepy. So now Thaddeus Sivana is all grown up and he works for his father's company, Sivana Industries, I think. And apparently he has his whole division based on his encounter when he was a kid. Or at least it looks like that. Like he has this team of people looking into people who have had experiences similar to the one he had. Like he has a whole crew of people looking at this. Where'd he get the funding for it? It just seems a bit unrealistic to me. But when he finally sees those symbols and he draws them on the door, his assistant tries to open it, but then she just fries up and dies. And Thad just feels absolutely nothing. He's like, okay, it works. I was like, what? Your assistant just fried up and died right in front of your face. You're not gonna feel anything? That's just unrealistic. Would anyone seriously not be like, holy shit, what the hell just happened? Come on. So he walks through the door and he confronts the wizard Shazam, and this is the scene I was talking about in my review, where he takes that orb, the evil orb with the 7 deadly sins power. He just walks up and takes it. Shazam could have blasted him, or if he didn't want to hurt him, could have blasted the ground in front of him to scare him back. But no, instead he's all like, wait, stop. He didn't do shit. That's the next big plot hole. He had every opportunity to stop him, but he just let him have it. Because the script said there has to be a villain with superpowers so Billy Batson can be the hero. That's the most valid reason I could think of. And then once Sivana gets these powers, why doesn't he kill the wizard Shazam to ensure that he wouldn't find a champion? That sounds like the smart thing to do to me. No, he just knocks him back, ensuring that the wizard will eventually find a champion, which he does in Billy Batson. Now when Billy gets to this Rock of Eternity, I actually like this scene because Shazam explains this is the Rock of Eternity. This is apparently the source of all magic in the world, which again conflicts with other DC lore in my head, like Aquaman's lore and Wonder Woman's lore and Justice League's lore. Again, DC just kind of loses me there. But Shazam explains, long ago, he and his council of wizards, they chose a champion, but they chose wrong, and this champion unleashed the 7 deadly sins upon the world for his own purposes, for revenge. That is straight up a black I was about to say Black Manta. That's a Black Adam mention. Now, of course, years ago, Dwayne The Johnson was cast to play this villain, and I do eventually want to see it happen. Apparently, Black Adam is going to get his own movie, and I really want to see that. I'm not gonna lie. Apparently, the most recent news is that the movie's going to go into production, like, later this year. I don't know if that's true or not, but I hope it is, because I want to see Dwayne The Johnson play Black Adam. The seed was planted here in this movie, so there you go. And so Billy Batson gets his powers, he becomes Shazam, or the Red Cyclone, or Sparkle Fingers, or whatever you want to call him. He goes by like 10 different names in this movie. He never actually goes by Shazam, and so he and Freddy start testing his powers. You have that montage set to Don't Stop Me Now by Queen, which I thought was pretty fun. They're doing all sorts of crazy stuff like buying beer and visiting strip clubs, which, yeah, he should have known that he would need more money. I've been there. They can be really convincing. Hey, everyone learns that the hard way. But it gets to the point where he causes that bus accident, which is also where I get to my next big plot hole, because he like places that mattress out and then he catches the bus. So when he gets ready to lower it, there's like a dog in the way. So he's like, move dog, move, I have to lower the bus. And I was all like, you can turn it. You can actually turn the bus. That mattress isn't gonna help, idiot. So there's a dog in the way. Just do a 90. Just turn, dumbass. I'm sorry if I seem rude here, but it's just so obvious to me. But the dog moves, and so he just lowers the bus onto the mattress, which doesn't make any difference. But then Dr. Sivana comes into play, and this is where the action actually gets pretty awesome, because they have this big throwdown, and they're flying through the air, and it looks really cool. This is where Billy discovers that he can fly, and it looks really cool when he flies, because he looks really heroic. He's like, yes, I am a superhero. And of course, when they have the fight in the toy store, the DC logo is still on the toys, and they had the obligatory reference to Big. I knew there was going to be one in there somewhere, so they're running on the keyboard on the floor. That made me laugh. That was solid. Yeah, that was a solid action scene, as was the final throwdown, which is at nighttime at this Philadelphia fair, and it's Billy and Dr. Sivana and the rest of Billy's family, which I'll get to them later. But Dr. Sivana is like floating above the fair, and he's doing some sort of evil speech, and people down there can't hear him, which does create a problem for later when they're flying around and Dr. Sivana's here and Billy is over here, and they do that joke where Dr. Sivana is doing an evil speech and Billy's like, what? I can't hear you. I was like, well, you could hear him before when you were on the ground and he was floating quite a few feet above you. In reality, you probably shouldn't have heard him from there. He wasn't yelling, he was talking like this at a pretty normal volume. I'm just saying, there you go, there's another plot hole. But then the action scene gets awesome. When Billy has the staff and he goes, okay, all hands on deck, family. And so all the siblings, they put their hands on the staff, they yell Shazam, and now we have this family of superheroes, which is a throwback to the original like 40s Captain Marvel comics. There was a Captain Marvel family in there. And so that's what we have here. We have this Captain Marvel family, or for the sake of this movie, a Shazam family, a Shazamly. That's what Zachary Levi called it. But I loved it because it was a total throwback. He even turns around, he's all like, gee whiz, mister, I'm sorry I stole your cane. I was like, oh my god, this is so cheesy, I love it. I feel like I'm watching a 60s cartoon, which is great. And so Billy and Dr. Sivana are doing their whole aerial fight with their laser energy, and it's really cool. Meanwhile, the rest of the kids are fighting the 7 deadly sins and rescuing people, which is also really cool. And those actors are really good at playing little kids. You notice that one that was playing Eugene, he was all like, Hadouken! I was like, nice, that was a good reference. The one that was playing Darla still believed in Santa Claus. It was convincing, I liked it. And I like how Billy finally defeats Sivana by getting the last deadly sin out of him. Apparently he knows what the 7 deadly sins are. I can name like 4 of them. Let's see, pride, gluttony, envy, greed. I don't know what the rest are. I forget. But he talks envy out of Sivana, and that's how he defeats him. I really like that. And so the Shazam family has defeated the bad guys. And it's a happy ending, and it's all good, which is cool. Okay. Nice job, Shazamly. So they return this evil orb to the Rock of Eternity, and now they realize, holy crap, we have a lair, which does get me excited for the sequel, I'm not gonna lie. We have this family of superheroes who are kids, and they have colorful outfits, and they have a lair. It's like a 60s cartoon show. I like that stuff, so maybe the sequel will be really good. And at the very end, Billy does a solid favor for Freddy. Apparently, he's been noticed by quite a few other superheroes, so he shows up as Shazam. He's like, hey, Freddie Freeman, my best friend ever. I brought another friend of mine who wants to say hello. And it shows Superman walking in. You hear a little bit of John Williams' Superman theme, and you see him from the neck down. You don't see his face. To which I'm like, all right, that's pretty funny because, you know, Henry Cavill walked out. But that does set up a question in my mind. Apparently Superman is still around in the DCEU. Are we ever gonna see him again? Is he gonna be recast? I don't know. But I do like the fact that at least we get to see Superman again. And that's where the movie ends. I was like, okay, mixed feelings on the movie, but it was enjoyable overall. For the mid-credits scene, I was really hoping to see Dwayne The Johnson as Black Adam. I'm sure everyone was hoping to see that, but that's not what we get. We see Dr. Sivana, he's in prison, he's drawing all sorts of crazy symbols on the wall, and then this little caterpillar you saw in the beginning, he's like, we can rule the 7 realms, there are other ways to acquire magic. I was like, what the hell is this? Apparently this little caterpillar thing is called Mr. Mind. I don't know anything about Mr. Mind, I just know that he's called Mr. Mind because I looked it up, and that is his actual form. He's not actually like Ego the Living Planet or something, like he doesn't have an actual form, That's Mr. Mind. That's him. I don't know what they were thinking. That's probably the most cartoony element of this entire movie. So maybe they'll do that for the sequel, but I hope they don't, because what I'm hoping for, well, I'll get there in a minute. Let's talk about that post-credit scene first. Because the post-credit scene is actually pretty funny, because it pokes fun at Aquaman. It goes back to when they're testing Billy's powers, and Freddy's like, can you talk to fish? And so he's trying it, and he's like, nope, I can't talk to fish. And then he's like, well, it's a stupid power anyway. I just thought it was funny. So yeah, for the future, as far as Shazam goes, here's what I would like to see. Before a Shazam sequel, I'd like to see a Black Adam movie like they said they're gonna do. So let's get our Black Adam movie next, and then bring Black Adam into the Shazam sequel to be the villain. That way we have solid setup for both Shazam and Black Adam, and so when they come together to fight, it would be really awesome. You see it, right? That'd be really cool. So yeah, in the end, I didn't hate this movie. It just, as I was watching it, it brought up a lot of questions in my head, being like, wait, how does that work? How does that work? That doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. And it brought the movie down a couple levels for me. Sorry, but I am looking forward to seeing what happens next. The next DCEU movie is actually Birds of Prey. Yeah, the Joker movie is not part of the DCEU. It's a standalone thing. And I'm looking forward to that too, but Birds of Prey, I'm really looking forward to, because I love Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. We'll probably get our first trailer for it in the next few months. Maybe during Comic-Con? I guess we'll see. But until then, Shazam! Have you seen it now? What did you think about it? And how does it rank among all the DCEU movies for you? Whatever you think, go ahead and leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe.